So, hello, Teresa.
Hello, Lucas, again.
Yes, I wanted to invite you back to talk a little bit more about the whole double role dancing thing. And you told me that you recently went to an event that was focused on double role. Can you maybe talk a bit to me about that event and how it
Yeah,
went?
well, this has to do with the difference between marathons and encuentros. There are a lot of double role marathons, queer marathons and double role marathons, and there are often the same people who go to those. But at encuentros, until now, that it was always considered, at least, that there are leaders and followers, and they try to balance the number of leaders and followers, and some are even gender balanced. So men are identified with leaders and women with followers, and I visit both, but at Encuentros I also led, or I'm leading, say, 20% or so at Encuentros, even if I apply as a follower. And nowadays you can also, some encuentros accept double rollers, and they manage the balance including double rollers. But this event was a new format. It was an encuentro, only a double roll encuentro. So everybody was considered to be a double roller. There were some persons who only danced one roll well, but it was double rollers were invited, and the organizers didn't have to balance anything, neither role nor gender. And this is for the organizers, it's a good thing. And the difference to the double role marathons that exist in a big number is that the other encuentro rules should be observed, which is cabeceo, inviting by cabeceo, and which is keeping a good ronda and not dancing with movements, with big movements when it's when you are when it can be that you hurt or you touch another couple. All these things in a good marathon, these things are also observed, but they are a bit stricter in encuentros with close embrace dancing in the ronda or in several rondas. So this was the concept of the event. It was in Saarbrücken last weekend. Organized by Melina and Detlef. And for me, it was a wonderful event. I had a lot of fun. I think I never danced so much during a weekend. And there were about 20% men, I estimate, and 80% women. And among the men, there were not many good followers. Most men followed a little bit, but women were, a lot of those women were very good followers and good leaders. This was fantastic. I had a lot of fun dancing with women. I mainly led, and with the men I danced with, I mainly followed. There were some really good leaders, and I followed with great pleasure to them. I had brought a pair of high heel shoes, but I didn't wear them. I was all the time in my flats and leading and following. It was great. And maybe for this shoe thing, I also danced that much because feet were hurting less than during a weekend where I mainly follow with high heels.
Yes. But yeah, sorry, I think I interrupt you.
No. So I just want to say this concept was a good idea, and it worked very well. And it was a very good mood, not the nervousness that sometimes I perceive in milongas or in encuentros when women are eagerly looking for invitations. Everybody invited everybody. Of course, I was a bit picky, like I'm always are, but it was not that only the same subgroups danced among themselves, but it was a good mixture.
Yes. And do you think it was also accessible for these men who were not good followers but still tried to follow a bit?
Yes, but yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was for them. It was an opportunity to practice their following, and it was not. I don't know what if the organizers did choose among the applications. I don't think so. It was possible to get in without also as a dancer of only one role, but they had a quote for people for one role dancers, and I think there were not very few people who only danced one role. I saw some men never following, but no problem. They were great leaders, and they danced a lot as leaders.
Yes. So let's talk about a few stereotypes about double role dancing. So you told me before recording this video that a double role event like the one you mentioned is not necessarily like some kind of queer thing.
Well, the queer people were those who initiated, I think, historically, the double role dancing. It was, let's start with, when I studied tango in the 90s, there were only teachers danced both roles. They had to, as teachers, they had to dance the other role, but not many dancers. And I was, my brother, who is gay, he asked me, he said, in general, he was interested in dancing, but he says, no, it's not for me because you cannot dance as a couple of men. And there were no couples of men dancing then. And very rarely women. It started little by little, but particularly in men, I think it started that queer men or gay men wanted to have this opportunity to dance tango with their preferred gender. And there were groups in Buenos Aires, for example. They were discriminated for many years, and they danced in private. And then I remember very well, I was there at that time in 2004, I think. They opened the first queer milonga, La Marshall, which still exists. And I went there to La Marshall. There were, I would say, 80% men with suit, older men. They appeared like the normal men in milongas, but many of them danced fantastically the following role. And I was said they were practicing for decades in private circles at home. They were practicing with other men. And so this milonga was mainly for men, for gay men who finally had in Buenos Aires this opportunity to dance among themselves. They were very happy. It was always a great atmosphere in La Marshall. And at the beginning, the first years, there was only some women, few women going there and dancing among women. But the Marshall milonga was more and more popular, and more women came, and there also the couples danced with each other. Yeah, the men led and the women, couples of men and women in the normal roles. So it was for years it was my favorite milonga. And in Europe, in Munich, for example, there was a group. There were two queer dance sport associations. They were like Tanzsportverein. I don't know how to say it in English. Really,
yes, an association for dance sports or something. Yeah, right.
Dancers and so, and there were two in Munich, and one of them invited me to teach there because I was at that time I was in milongas dancing both roles all the time, and I taught there. And this association stopped with the tango section, and now the other still exists. But now more and more of these queer people who were for years dancing among themselves now go to the normal milongas. And to have fun in a milonga with tango argentino, it's no longer necessary in Europe or in Germany to be in an extra association. But it was for years. It was necessary. It was not the normal case. I think since 10 years or so, you can dance in any constellation in in most of the milongas. It's a long time ago that I had the impression that it's not, milonga organizers didn't want to have them.
But just to get back to the topic, but still, like, double role dancing probably has some kind of queer stereotype attached to it.
Yeah, okay. The queer people, they started, I think, in around 2010 in Europe to make own queer marathons or queer festivals and events, and this was also a possibility for double role dancers to go there and dance there. But I'm not queer in no definition, in no sense of the definition. But I always like to dance at events like this, and I'm also invited as DJ sometimes because they want to have at least people who dance both roles. So I would say, to summarize, I would say the queer scene was the origin of double role, to do extra events for double role, extra teaching for double role. But now it's not. There's no for most double role dancers that I know are not heterosexual or have families and children and whatever. They dance the other role not for reasons, for gender reasons, but because they like the role itself, and they are curious. They want to know how it feels to dance the other role. They want to improve their dancing in general. And me personally, when I started to learn the men's role, it was in the year 2000, and I had started
done already. Okay.
the role in 95. And for me, it was the curiosity to understand the tango better, to understand these both parts. And after some months of mainly leading, I really had this perception during dancing of the 4 legs and of the 2 bodies, what they are doing, and not only receiving some signal and doing something with my body. And this, for me, this was a really an amplification of my tango understanding. And therefore, it's I know from myself and from many other examples, I know what the benefit can be to manage the other role for your own role. I mentioned it in the other video.
Yeah, so it's moved into the mainstream, and more people are starting to do this.
Yeah, now it's nothing special, and it's in the very first years when I was leading, there some men didn't dance anymore with me because they didn't like leading women, and not every woman was wanted to dance with a person of the same sex. This happened in the first years, but for a long time I haven't seen this anymore. Those men who stopped dancing with me, they came later and then returned to dance with me, and I asked them why they stopped, and they said, one of them said, I don't know what all of them thought, but one of them said, as a woman who can also lead, and then you will perceive all my mistakes. So they were a little bit shy, or a little bit timid to be judged by an expert. Although I wasn't an expert at that time.
Yeah, it's like the people who don't want to dance with a teacher because they get intimidated or
like this. Yeah.
Yeah, well, a lot of things have changed for the better.
I just want to mention this for Buenos Aires. It's also it's apart from the queer scene now, that in milongas where young people dance, it's completely normal to have same-sex couples. In some milongas it's forbidden, for example, in Cachirulo, but these are exceptions. I even led in El Beso on Sundays also. I can lead women. It's nothing happens. Not anymore, because before it was a problem, but now it's completely normal, especially among younger people.
Yes, because you told me also in private that it's in preparation of this video that it's like it's seen maybe by some people as some kind of Northern European thing, all this exchanging of roles, but apparently this is not necessarily the case, because in Buenos Aires there are also people doing it, and not only the queer dancers.
Yeah, and it was the queer dancers, and so I would say in the last 10 years it's getting more and more popular. And in Europe, I don't dance much in the south. In Spain I dance sometimes. There's not so many double role dancers, and in Italy I think neither. But in Germany and in northern countries, Netherlands, and so a lot of double role dancers are seen.
Yeah, so let's just talk about one more thing. There are also some stereotypes about why women start leading. For example, that they're not getting enough dances, so that's why they start leading to be more on the floor. But you're
Some
saying
of them
that.
do so, yes.
Sorry?
Some of them start off for this reason, because it can really be a problem. And two observations on this: when I was one of very few leading women in Munich I would say in the year 2004 or so, once I entered the milonga, I would say there were 80% women and 20% men. I entered the milonga, the women next to the door where I entered it. Theresa is coming. That's fine. Because they assumed that now it's my task to dance with all of them.
Yes, but you're not the taxi
That was,
dancer, right?
yeah, this is sometimes in those times, sometimes I felt a little bit urged to or obliged to dance with the women. But I don't like this constellation. And I know that when men enter a milonga and see that there are many women, then they are stressed because of all the expectation. Okay, I know a lot of women who started to lead because of this reason. And now we have a lot of leading women in Munich, and it's milongas are much more relaxed than before, because you have more options. You see other leading women, you can lead yourself as a woman. But now I know but this other motive I mentioned before, to be curious of the other role, to have a better understanding of the tango as a whole, it's now the motive of many women who maybe started with the problem that they don't want to sit, but now they get more into the leading role, not only as a vehicle to be able to dance in the milongas.
Yeah, so there are different motives to start doing this. Well, it seems
In
like
my
there's
own
only one,
milonga,
there are several ones. Yeah.
recently in my own milonga, we had I would say 2/3 women, 1/3 men, and the women who are regulars in my practica, they always come to my milonga. And this constellation of 2/3 and 1/3 was not a problem at all, because there were enough leading women, and they like to dance with each other. It's not only I dance with a woman because there's no man for me. No, they actively look for women. They know that they have fun dancing with. And so I remember this milonga some years before. It would have been very stressy for me as an organizer to have so many women and so little men. But in that occasion, I think 3 months ago or so, it was fantastic. Very good mood of everybody.
I'm seeing the same thing happen, and it's really good when there's a bit of relief when there's too many women, that some of them are quite good leaders, and then it becomes more relaxed. On the other hand, maybe like as a last question, it's just improvised. Do you think this could become a problem for the men if like too many women are leading and following, and that they're kind of left out? Is that a possibility, or?
They are already making jokes. The men who were in my workshop, they are making jokes. Say, yeah, we have to learn to follow because now the women are dancing among themselves. But it was not the reason for them to come. But they were joking about this.
But apart from a joke, is there a threat that might happen, or is that something you don't see happen?
No, I don't see it. Maybe 20 years later or so. But not actually in these times. It's still the majority is still dancing in this traditional constellation, and the other constellations are getting more prominent, but it's not completely. So should I say the constellation between men leading and women following is still the normal thing, and still what many people want, including myself.
Yeah, including you. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yes,
you, yeah.
I love to. Last Friday I was at a milonga, and I was following all the time. I was even following one woman, and the rest were men. I love this, but if it's not so, it's no problem at all.
Yes. Well, it's a luxury of knowing you can do both things, and then you can choose, like, whatever your mood is, you can choose accordingly.
Exactly.
Well, I think that was a very interesting discussion. So thanks again, and like always, if I think of another interesting question for you, I'll definitely be back.
So I wish you good luck following.
Yes, yeah. I've finally picked it up seriously, because I've learned in the past several times. For example, as a beginner in Buenos Aires, I was immediately made to follow as well. So that didn't mean I became a good follower, because you need a lot of practice to become a good follower. But now I feel like I'm finally really taking it as seriously as I should. And I'm also benefiting from the fact that there are more and more women leaders nowadays. So I dance with them chiefly.
Do you dance with men?
No,
or
actually,
women when they lead you?
Yeah, mostly with women who I know I lead, and we're good friends. And I'm
No, I mean, when you follow, some persons don't want to touch a person of the same sex.
Yes. So I don't know how to deal with this with the men. It's hard to. I don't know who are comfortable with it and who aren't. So it's a bit difficult.
So this is this this leader workshop, men workshop of following that I did, was had also the effect that they are no longer shy to touch another man.
Okay.
It's a technical thing in this workshop surrounding, and it's because this is I wanted to mention this as a last point. This is a bit an obstacle when men learn to follow, that they try to find a woman who leads them instead of another man who leads them. I mean, men who are not gay. And I often get approached by men who want to be led by me, but I'm picky in this, because when the man is a lot higher than me and doesn't follow well, then I don't do it.
Yeah.
So men should dance more among themselves as women do.
Yes. Yes. Well, I'll do my best, and I know I've seen some curiosity from some guys, even like guys who I didn't expect to want to dance with other men. Maybe it's just a stereotype, but I saw they were interested in following, and I saw some follow other men, and they had no skills, but it didn't matter. And I was surprised to see them do that, dance among each other. But it's a good thing. But
and it's more and more normal.
Yes,
it will become relaxed, more relaxed in the next years.
Yes. So thank you for the video, and see you again soon.
Thank you, Lucas, for the invitation.
Bye.
Bye.